My dear friends and colleagues, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak to you on one of the most important topics in which I have been involved for a long number of years to work. It has been my privilege to continue to meet people who have been suffering from mental disorders or having problems with psychological matters. They, their parents, their loved one, their friends have given me immense opportunity to understand their behavior and psyche. The problem today that we are facing is about students' mental health. And in general, we are talking about suicide prevention on the day of global our World Suicide Prevention Day approaching on 10th of September. And we are going to celebrate. Theme is about creating hope through action. Yes, hope is a consequence of action. And this is the theme of this year that we will be talking throughout the year in every corner of this earth, discussing about what measures can be taken, what measures should be undertaken, what helps, what is the evidence to increase the resilience and tolerance people to cope with adverse circumstances and continue to survive in the midst of adversity. As we know, in India, in our country, more than 13,000 students have died last year due to suicide. And we also know that these numbers are underrepresented in every corner of this planet. We also know that about 10 times are those who have attempted a suicide and have been fortunate enough to be saved, and they are amongst us. But let's not forget that they continue to remain at a high risk for next few years if they are not attended to for their psychological problems. Now, the topic that I want to deal with is what best can be done or what best should be done to prevent student suicide. To come to this aspect, we must understand what is the current understanding or current concept of suicide behavior or suicidal ideation. To open, let's recap that there is hardly anybody in this world who has never felt suicidal in lifetime. But so miraculous is the functioning of our body and mind is that our internal breaks of cognitive set of the mind is so strong and so powerful, so unique and conspicuous that it does not allow a fraction of a second to let the negative idea dominate over the positive idea of surviving and living life meaningfully. The second submission that I have is the observation made through research papers in our country as in many other countries, and that is that about 10% of students in university campus are surviving with an active suicidal ideas all the time. They are the walking risk personnel. Anything happening in their life which tilts the balance, problem in their decision-making, problem in their emotional equilibrium, and an attempt happens. When an attempt happens, it is then the strength of health services and the time gap in transportation for care, which allows an individual to be lucky enough to survive. It is not really the services alone that determine the death or life after an attempt. If that was so, in the vicinity of health services, suicide prevention, suicide ideation, suicide attempt would always have been less, but that's not the case. The city of Mumbai is full of health services. Every corner you have one or the other hospital. But does that make Mumbaikar more safe against suicide? No. The rate of suicide in Mumbai city is just the same as in any metro city of our country. So services as protection net is just one factor which consoles us and provides a lot of logistics and support for an individual who has attempted suicide to survive. What is more important, whether we have developed the services to respond to the challenge of suicidal ideation and suicidal crisis. We'll come back to this aspect little later. In order to understand suicide behavior, we must also recollect that it is a multifactorial problem. We do not really know how suicidal thought gets converted into suicidal act, what factors operate, but whatever we understand based upon research and observation through clinical practice, we know that it is a combination of biological, psychological, social, environmental, ecological, and cultural factors. And let's not exclude the spiritual factor, which many times is the strongest protective factor. Thus, before we consider what best can be done, let us recap and keep on the side the factors which contribute in increasing the risk of suicidality, the risk factors which precipitate suicide, and the protective factors which protect an individual, like a well-knit family, like presence of children, like economic stability, like a good equilibrium of mind and brain and spiritual sense of being. We continue this discussion further.